How's it going, everybody? This is Eric Severson coming to you from room inside. It's because I need Wi-Fi to be doing this, not because it's getting cold out there. I'm Norwegian, I can handle it. But anyway, I want to talk to everybody some about the recent news about COVID testing in the schools and the way that it's already being kind of spun, and the data being used to implicitly justify furthering the reopening in a way that I and many other New York City educators agree could be very dangerous. So you can see the headline here. COVID positivity rate is 0.17%. Lots we still don't know, but this is great news. And on the surface, I agree. A low positivity rate in the tests is good, although any positive test that comes from a school is one that may not have happened if things were still fully remote, which would have been much cheaper to do in the first place. But it's also important to realize that when we drill down in these numbers, there's a lot that this one data point of 0.17% is not telling us. So this is from one of the great teacher bloggers out there, somebody I follow on Twitter, and you should too. So first of all, the number of people who have been tested so far is very low, 15%. There's a lot that's being hidden in these numbers, and only 9 days into testing, it's way premature to declare victory and say, great news, everything's wonderful. And a lot of what's come out from the media in terms of the New York Times and in terms of people that are supposed to be on our side, the leadership of the UFT and the AFT, are already declaring victory and calling this a great day, and it's way too soon to actually draw any of those conclusions. Okay? And one thing that just looking at those low positive numbers so far in the schools, one thing that does not include is this right here. 52% of students in New York City are doing fully remote instruction, and therefore the number of kids that are doing the hybrid instruction where they're going in 2 days out of 6 in the buildings is very low, and attendance numbers in the buildings is even lower than that in some cases, where a class where a teacher should have had on paper 10 students in there only has 2 or 3. So if we prematurely rush this impetus to just reopen and say, oh, everything's fine, the first test was low, that's the opposite of what needs to be done here. Again, this is only 9 days in, way too soon to be declaring any kind of victory. Okay. And as far as on the city level, let's remember who we're dealing with here. Okay, this is from back in March, same guy who said healthy people should still be dining out, it's still safe to go to bars. The current chancellor who said he's going to wait till he hears from 108,000 epidemiologists before he listens to a petition of 108,000 people calling for the closing of schools. Hey, I saw a joke on Facebook saying, why is this mayor from Jaws the same mayor in Jaws 2? This is the situation we're dealing with here, that same people are in charge and they're showing the same initial impetus to just be, rah, everything's great, schools should reopen. And then I suspect, and I have, there is a strong precedent to believe that they'll be extremely slow to roll out any negative news that will justify shutting things down again. Okay. If we look at the numbers across New York State, the height of the pandemic, there are 12,000 new cases a day, so we are in much better shape. And this is what the DOE and its lawyers and bureaucrats will keep telling us, is that things are safe. But yeah, it's safe because of things being more locked down. It's safe because of buildings being nearly empty. And if we don't continue that, and if we rush to reopen, this is the result. This is a little graphic about what happened over 100 years ago, where right here, people get complacent, reopening happens, and boom, lots more death. And, in the United States, we're already past that point with over 200,000 people losing their lives, most of it very preventively and tragically and enragingly that it's come to that point. But there's even more suffering and illness to avoid if we can keep things safe. So just a couple points to keep in mind here when it comes to teachers that are still assigned to buildings. Like, know your rights about remote work accommodation. If you have health issues, if you somebody that was there when they didn't shut down in the first place, and all the corruption and mismanagement that happened back in March, like, keep reminding people of that. Don't let people's memories get too short. Okay, and push back about this on social media. Don't let anybody continue this narrative of, oh, it's safe. Why aren't you like pushing for 100% reopening? And okay, do not let the people who are paid to spin these narratives do so. And okay, I and many other people have been involved in a lawsuit, which fortunately I was able to get a remote work accommodation. I'm remote until December. The way things are going, who knows if it'll need to be remote even after that. But contact the law firm right here, ghnYlaw.com, and happy to provide people with the contact information for that if anybody's interested in joining in or supporting us. And lastly, hold the UFT's leadership accountable. Okay, you can see from the UFT's Twitter account, from Randy Weingarten at the AFT, they're already declaring victory. They're already making it seem like buildings are safe. They're already working as basically public relations for the DOE. Okay. So we need to be out there reminding them that their salary comes from us. They work for us. They don't work for the DOE. They're there to represent teachers. And, we are not trying to get out of doing our jobs. We are there, working 12 hours a day, grading papers, working remotely. And, the people that are in the building every day, they're putting themselves at risk being there in places that are not adequately sanitized or adequately prepared. But you have to remind people that their salaries come from our dues. They want to be buddy with the politicians and the DOE bureaucrats, but they work for us, and they need to be reminded of that from time to time, including right now. So thanks everybody for listening. Keep fighting.